Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here coming at you during food poisoning with a review of G2 versus Vitality. It was a very quick and interesting game. I watched it some time ago, so I don't remember the key moments, but I just want to talk about the picks and some specific matchups I think is important to highlight. I don't think necessarily Vitality's draft was too bad, the first three picks. Lucian was open for the first time in a long time. I think Perks is one of the few mid laners that can play at a very high level. The trade was Senna for Ferios. G2 went for Elise, their high prio. They traded for Gragas, I think that's fine too. Braum, blind pick support, maybe I don't like it too much. Usually if you blind pick Braum here, then you should at least use second wave ban for Braum to accomplish something. But here they weren't used at all. Maybe the idea is that Nautilus, Leona, Trashes all the same into Braum. Instead they're banning for top, to setting up for a Ornn blind pick, and then the craziest part of it all is the Yasuo into Lucian Flex. The matchup is just straight up horrible. I feel very bad for Sagan because obviously he got ass blasted by Perks, but this matchup is not good for Yasuo. This is a skill matchup that is in favor of Lucian. If you're a really, really good Yasuo and the Lucian is mediocre, then you'll do fine, but if the Lucian's really, really good and you're an okay Yasuo, then you'll get ass blasted, which is something that happened this game. Sakin is also playing all the LFL games and also playing all the LEC games, so I feel terrible for him because he doesn't deserve, like if he is supposed to play on the LEC stage, I think he deserves like a real chance. He hasn't gotten like a real chance. Sure, some players don't even get the chance to play actual games, beyond what Sakin is playing, and you could say that he's privileged in some way, sure, but we shouldn't judge him too harshly over this game because I don't know if it's him or if it's a decision of the coaching staff, whatever. Yasuo just doesn't belong in this game. Soraka is the next thing that needs to be spoken about. Soraka, we saw the Chakras video, we saw a lot of people playing it solo queue, we saw the Shy playing it. Soraka, the whole idea is you have such a powerful ult, and you're going to sit on top. You're going to, in most matchups, eat dick. In some cases you can poke the enemy out. You max Q. You can poke the enemy out. You get a lot of regen, of course. People think that Soraka's E is still OP, but it really isn't enough to damage pretty harshly. So about the Q max, the regen, and the cooldown reduction on the Q that happened the last time Soraka got changed. You just use the ult. It's such a powerful ult because it scales so well with, of course, your level, because Soraka is designed to get level 6 very late on the game, and you get 6 way earlier on solo lanes than bottom. So around the time where your bottom is 4 approaching 5, they already have the power of Soraka ult, and that can be the game changer. You also happen to be in a position where you have more AP, and Soraka doesn't scale bad at all. The faster, obviously the faster she gets to build AP, the better things will go for her. So the whole idea of the pick is, if you're deciding that you're going to play around bottom, like in this case, a Felios Trash into Braum Senna, you can play quite heavily into bottom. You have Elise as well, and then Soraka can affect that matchup bottom. Soraka is not something you can pick in every matchup. Ornn is an example of where Soraka will be fine. You'll have to find opportunities with your Dove, but Soraka here against Gragas and Ornn will have a very easy pathway to build, because she'll have magic resistance, of course, from her Chalice, which means that maybe she can prevent a dive or something, but Soraka's of course very fragile on top, and the hope for you is that you get pushed in, and then you try to farm as much as possible in the turret, you leech XP, you poke when you're able to, and even if you're behind, it doesn't matter, because the champion is designed in itself to not have that much gold. So even if you're behind, it's not a problem. Your ult is going to be very powerful, and your core items are very cheap. Athenes, whether it's Redemption, everything is very, very cheap. So Soraka, maybe people are scared about it, but this is not something that we'll see often. In some cases it works. This was a case, a good showcasing of why it worked. But this was a big question mark in terms of pick. This matchup is very tough. These bans are for Ornn blind pick. These bans are for Cassio's Evolution, and then Aatrox is just a blind pick ban. I think it's good to do on red side. These 3 bans is just to get set out of the way. I think most of the time G2, when it comes to new champions, they ban that out because they just want to make sure that they get clean victories. Like for example last year when Aatrox was reworked and they came back from MSI, they just kept banning Aatrox. Pantheon is also a comfort ban for them, and Akali obviously is still really OP. Just revert Presence of Mind, please. So with that being said, everything else is fairly standard. We can head into the game. The big nail in the coffin in this one was, of course, the moment where G2 just dove bottom. Fnatic, Vitality tried to go for something simple, something with a lot of engage, with a lot of tools to get in there. Cabo going for Spellbook, very common into range matchups. Cabo starting with refillable, also very common. You keep your gold, and then after the first wave, you can build your first item. As you can see, he's building his Doran Shield or whatever Doran Shield it is. Fairly standard stuff. Lucian, how you want to play this matchup in mid, if you want to be Umayan, or any decent mid laner for that matter, is you make sure that you slow push this wave as much as possible. You make sure that the crashes on cannon. The slower you push, the better it is. Because Yasuo cannot walk up on the wave, you'll have a level advantage, and then by the time the wave crashes, it's going to be massive. You want to make sure the wave is as big as possible, so when Yasuo is trying to last those range creeps, that he is punished with his life, you know. So here, with how Elise played, she stepped in and spotted Gragas, didn't commit to the fight. Lucian is pressuring the Yasuo on the turret, he's already half HP, uses potion. This is a very rough position, like this is not a good matchup at all for Yasuo, and with Elise on your side, it becomes even better. Even though Yasuo Gragas is juicy and all at 6, if Lucian is too far ahead by the time Yasuo reaches 6, then who cares? So this matchup doesn't look too fun for Ornn. He's getting poked to shit. Obviously, Soraka with that sustain is good against tanks. It's the same reason why Conqueror is good against tanks, because you get sustain, and the damage that tanks put out is not that big. So if you have lifesteal, anything like this, any health regen is very good. Of course, Ornn on 6 with the Ignite will have some all-in power. I think at some point there was a gank that succeeded on top side. Lucian keeps building. I just want to see this graphic. What is this? Riding the wave, freeze, denying and neutralizing, crash, diving and punishing, priority, rotating. Well, they also missed basing. Okay, well, doesn't matter. I don't know what they said here, so all good. Okay, Gragas has the first base. Gragas is looking to gank. They put a pink. Lucian is respecting. So now when the wave pushes back into Lucian, he's just going to look to freeze the wave under the turret. So here what Perkz wants to do is basically thin out the wave as much as possible, make sure that Saken doesn't crash, but the other wave is a bit too big. Oh, he actually doesn't give a shit and just freezes anyway. So this is very hard for Yasuo. Like if Yasuo can't make the wave crash here, then he's really doomed. Because here Yasuo cannot walk up all the way here and clear these creeps, right? So Perkz is just thinning out the wave. He's the Yasuo master himself. He knows how to punish this better than anyone else. He's just freezing the wave. This is how you do it. Build big waves, and then when the wave bounces, you make sure that you freeze. So Perkz is now freezing under the turret. He will ward on top side. Skins was spotted. He has a pink on bottom side, so I don't know why he's walking up here. G2 have no reason to ever force first. They're just waiting and waiting for Vitality to go first. Flash is burned. I don't think Saken needs a burn flash there. He's already needed to force base, and he had his flow stack, so he will get his shield up, and now Saken is flashless, and Jankos will flash and kill him. Also Windwall cooldown, of course, from before. So this is the disaster on many accounts. Mickey roaming, Mother Phillips is in fine position, no problem. Cleanse on comp is questionable, but I think I guess the idea is that they're playing against Thresh and Elise, they can just deny that. Buying QSS is clunky on Senna because you just have so many cheap items to buy. Kavasha with the E. Next thing that comes up is the 2v2 on top side. No idea what Caps is doing here. The fuck is happening here? We just kind of get teleported into that one. I think Caps is just eating too many Q odds. That's what it looks like. He had to flash, otherwise he would die for pickaxe center. So here, 2v2ing with Elise Soraka is very questionable. So something that started off as a very promising G2 to be the early game, 2v2ing with Soraka is not something that you want to do. Even in a case where your Soraka is buying MR and it's effective against both the Gragas and the Ornn, she's just not durable enough. And this was just a mistake. This gave Vitality some breathing room. Perks once again freezing the wave. I hope that's clear on how you have to play matchups into any melee champion, honestly. Most melee champions, the way you want to do it is you want to just freeze the wave under your turrets. They can't all in you, you can harass them, you can punish them, they're in danger of jungle, always, and you're happy. But even here, something to consider is that Skins did in fact use his flash to kill a Soraka. Soraka still has flash, and the matchup top is not going to change. Ornn would buy a Negatron Cloak regardless, and now this flash is not there for the 2v2 mid that needs to be salvaged. Now with Perks having flash, Gragas having no flash, the 2v2 mid will just be a very distant tail. So you have to also ask yourself, even though this 2v2 was one on top, how much will it matter for the game? Also something that's interesting about Soraka is, when you have someone low on the map, your ambulance makes it very easy to roam into mid lane. When there's heavy trading going on, Saka no flash here, Fly is, the wind wall was very late, the hook didn't land, and here, okay, that was terrible, very bad. Ignite also used, and yeah, the game is over already, honestly. It's over before the dive happened on bot. I'm just gonna take a look at the dive bottom. Honestly, I just want to talk about Lucian and how he played it, give Saken some slack, and then take a look at the dive, and that's the end of this review. G2 stomped the shit out of Vitality. That's just how it is, That's just how it is. Got to talk about Soraka a little bit. Vitality are going for the Herald, they get it. Good for them. Elise is on bottom forcing dive, and Senna and Braum are nowhere to be found. Like, this is one of those moments where the swap into topside is very questionable, because you're taking the first Rift Herald for a lot of gold here. The enemy just pushed 3 waves into the turret that you lost, and any type of advantage that you had in bottom with the flash advantage is just completely gone. So this is just a Vitality desperation move. Next thing that happened around 12-minute mark is the dive, of course. Lucian's backing into mid, already bladed the Ruin King. Into melee champions, you just want to buy as much power as possible, and Blade Ruin King is definitely better than Essence Reaver the moment you buy it. And Essence Reaver does scale better, of course, because you have crit and such, but as a standalone item, Blade is better, and you just want as much power as possible. Let's take a look at this dive. Lucian is already in bottom. They are defending the Rift Herald. Ornn has TP. Ornn is fighting on top with Exhaust. Abyssal Mask is ready. He should be, he should be able to trade well. That's the double root that lands off of the ult, of course, from Aphelios. Jackdaw with the stopwatch. Quite late. You need to stopwatch the hook, and then maybe he'll survive a bit better. The stopwatch. Still, he managed to survive. Saken, dead. No idea what happened to him. He still has flash. And Windwall is on cooldown, I assume. Blade is used, and Saken does not flash. Here we go. That's the first hook. Skins with a good stopwatch, honestly. Perks. He's so fed. He's level 10, man. He's level 10. And then Ornn TP. Ornn TP. Nail in the coffin, man. Perks is so healthy throughout all of this. Low aftershock cooldown, and that's game. Ding 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 ding, and it's all over. G2 with a KO slam. Also, in all of this, I guess the things to highlight is, of course, the Soraka ult that gets some value at what point. So the Soraka ult is used. So it heals more on the targets that are below 50% HP. So here, when is the Soraka ult coming down, man? I wonder when there is a Soraka ult. So he just healed his team for like 1,000 in total, man. That is crazy much. Crazy much. And that's the whole idea of Soraka. You isolate her on top. You don't give a shit about her. If she falls behind, you don't care. You're happy. And then, of course, you just support your team on the other side of the map. Beautiful. The window of opportunity is, of course, when your top laner has a TP and he can use it and impact the map in his own way. Similar to how you would treat, for example, a Shen or a Gangplank. You know, either you choose to target the Soraka diver over and over, or you use your TP to impact the map somehow. And the execution of this dive just it started off the beautiful route with caps that we saw, and then the follow-up hook, Braum being very low HP, Yasuo dying out of bounds completely from anything that resembled anything that made sense, and that's it. You know, I think Vitality had some good building pieces here for a composition. Good Senna prio, good Gragas prio. Braum, maybe that's questionable, but at least the synergy here. I think picking Tahm Kench is just better, but Jack Troll has a history of not being the greatest Tahm Kench. He's a bit inconsistent on Tahm. Sometimes he's a good Tahm, sometimes he's not. And on Tahm you need to be very consistent in order for it to work. The continuation of the dive schemes with a good stopwatch, the only saving grace here. Com getting popped, has no flash from before, Gragas trying to ult, and then Ornn coming in here, and he just gets smacked on the noodle. Okay, thank you guys so much for watching this short review of Vitality versus G2. The game is lost, and I don't think there's a necessity for any explanation here. Like, this is monster doomed, right? This is just they got brutalized. Cabo emoting a little bit, and this was a very, very quick game. Absolute slaughter. Okay, catch you guys on the next one. Peace.